Hello and how are you, and welcome to our 12th session of mastering Flutter user interface series. So in previous session we looked at how we can customize dialog boxes, and we look at so many examples that different ways of how we can implement it. So in this session we are going to learn how we can create expanding widgets in Flutter. So always do 40 minutes, and you can see our time has started. So let's go straight and start at today's topic of expand in Flutter widgets. So expand, it will help you to collapse information such as this one, and then you show it when someone clicks on the expand icon on the expand button, and it can help you to organize your things in a very cleaner way, and someone will only be seeing information when it is required. So that's what we're going to look at right now. We're also going to see how we can do such a kind of thing, and then we're going to also design a flight ticket like this one. This one can even be the order for your e-commerce project, e-commerce app, and then someone can do like this to expand and see the details. So we're going to see how we can implement all these things today. So we're also going to see how you can create an invoice and also be able to expand and also collapse it. So that's what we're going to look at right now. So without wasting much time, let's go straight into our today's business and start implementing these features of Flutter, the expanding. All right. So let's begin by creating this basic expand, so you can first understand the concept of expanding and collapsing widgets. So I'll go and and create another folder for expand. So this, come to screens, then come here and say new directory. I'm going to call it expand. Okay, and then this expand, we're going to create a fresh new new screen that we're going to call expand basic, and then say that. So in this screen it's going to demonstrate the basics of expanding and collapsing widgets in Flutter. So let's go ahead and create here a stateful widget and call it expand screen. All right, so let's go ahead and import the material UI. Then after, we're going to go ahead and add this to our main screen or to our menu, so that when we should be able to access it, and someone, when they click there, they should be able to. Guys, just a minute, let me first pick my boss. So we're going to expand into our home screen. So we'll come to the menu and then duplicate this one, and then after, we're going to call this one expand screen, and then call this one expand, and then we can call it maybe expand basic. Okay, the basic of expanding. all right, so I want, when someone click here, they should be taken to the basics of expanding. So when I click there, I'm taking this empty screen. All right, so let's go ahead and demonstrate this basic expanding. So the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to begin by putting the scaffold. Then the first thing that we're going to add the title and make the background to be gray. So I believe everyone can do this at this moment. All right. So after doing that, We're going now to put there the body. That's going to be a scroll view. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to give it some padding of 40. Make it vertical. Okay, now I hope everyone can do this at this level. Now we go ahead and put column as a child of this. The children. Okay, so we're going to begin by putting our first expanding, this one. Okay, so it's going to be kind of a widget, a separate widget. So I'll call it panel 1. So let's go ahead and create that method. Okay, it's just going to return a what? A widget. Okay, so we're going to return a what? A card. So this is a card. So return a card. So card, it must take a child. Why is it crying? It's supposed to be widget, eh? Okay, so there you go. Okay, so in here now, how do you create this expanding feature? So you can first put these first parameters of our normal card. Then go ahead and add now the expanding feature. So the expanding feature is going to be just first going to be a column. So this card is going to have a child of column, and this column is going to have children. So the first child of this column is going to be this text that's going to have the word expand. Okay, so we're going to put a container and put this first content. So I can pause the video and explain it. So it is going to be a container that has a row inside, and this row is having the container of 15, so the first word should be distanced from the margin, and then it has a spacer, so it can separate this icon and this one, and then it has an angle of animation. So this one is the rotation animation. Okay, so this icon that you're seeing here, the button here, it is being surrounded by transform.rotate. So this transform.rotate is the one that is going to be doing the logic of rotating this icon from top to bottom. Okay, so that is transform.rotate. So transform.rotate, it takes an angle of which you want to rotate in. Okay, so it's going to create an animation dot value, and then put mathpy and then say 180. So you should be able to rotate it at 180. Let's first create this variable called animation 1. So it's this one, the first one. We call it animation 1. It's going to be responsible for the first animation. So let's go ahead and create it. So you can come here, create it on top here, and then say so you're going to define it let, and then say animation, then you open square bracket, and then say animation 1, and then here you can say animation view. So after doing that, the next thing we're going to define them now by creating the init state. Okay, so go ahead and create init state. initialize state, let me just create it, just say init state here, init state. So inside here, so we're going to define this animation. Okay, so define the first animation, which is going to be animation 1 is going to be twin, and then say begin at 0, and when it should end at what, at 180 degrees, and then we give it a controller. So we're going to define this controller, and then the animation view is going to be cover me animation. That's the type of animation that is going to take the controller also 1. Okay, and then it is going to take a curve of curve linear. So let's go ahead and controller and define this controller 1. So to define this controller 1, we just simply define an animation like this animation, give it double, and then I'll define this controller 1. So you're going to have two controllers also, since you're going to deal with two things. So I'm going to give it controller 1 and then define it from here. Okay, so controller 1, you have to define it first before you define the animations. So I'm going to copy these controllers and define them on top, because they are going to be used by the animations. Okay, so controller is going to be animation controller, so part vsync. So if you're going to pass vsync, you have to extend this one with the ticker provider. Okay, ticker provider, this one here. So you come to the state and then add with the ticker provider mixin. Okay, after putting the state, and then add with ticker provider mixin, and then come here and then say animation controller, then say vsync, and then pass this, and then say duration that you want to animate. Okay, so after doing that, then this one will be for the second for the second animations. You can also define them at once, because we're going to have both of them. So we're going to define animation 1 and animation 2, which is this one here, and the view that we're going to control. Alright, so after doing that, we're going to define the mathematics value, so you can be able to get can be able to calculate the pi. So you import it, just say import that math as math, then it will be enough. So come here on top and say import that math as math, it will be enough for you to get for your mathematics. So let me first comment this one and see if you have the icon that will be able to toggle. So we have to restart the screen. Okay, so here we should now be able to do what, to toggle the icons. So I'm going to create the logic that's going to be responsible for toggling or for switching something from back to forth. Otherwise, you can pause the video and see how I've defined these values, how I've defined them, how I imported the math, and how I initialize them on start with different animations. Okay, now after doing that, now we're going to do the real animation by calling, when someone clicks here, we should call the toggle. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that method that's going to be toggling the two. So I just simply press Alt and Enter and say create method. So this method is just going to return void, and then it will be checking whether it has expanded the first value or not. Okay, so these are going to be just booleans with true or false. So we can put them on top here. So the first one will be just checking if the first is expanded, it should collapse it. If it is not expanded, it should do what? It should expand it. Something like that. Okay. So you put controller.forward, it will do what? It will expand. If you say controller.reverse, it will do what? It will do the opposite. So you see, now I'm able to toggle our controller, or our controller here. Now what's remaining is now to really hide and display. So to do that, we're going to come to our text. So this is the first row that we created, that even has the logic of what, of toggling. Then after that row, now we're going to put the size translation that's going to be responsible for expanding and collapsing. So let's do that together step by step. So after putting this row here, can collapse this container. Let's go ahead and put what we call size transition. So size transition is going to take animation factor. So we put here the view that we defined, okay, and then it is going to take what? It's going to take the content that want to be to be displaying and hiding. Okay, so just go ahead and put here child, and then put the content that you want to expand and hide. Okay, so it's going to be a column, so I can just copy the content and explain it. Okay, so I'll copy it and explain it. So that's how you do it. That's how you define an animation. So I'll just simply come here. So the content inside here is just a normal content. Okay, it's just a normal content. I hope you can see that. Okay, so when I save, then I'll have the content like that. It's just nothing but a column, okay, that is having also maybe a button of hiding, and this button of hiding, its task is just to toggle whatever is there. So you see, I can expand, I can hide, I can expand, I can hide. Okay, I can expand, I can hide. So I can try it also in different ways. So the main thing is just to initialize the controller, create the controllers and the animations, and then implement them as I've just shown you. Okay, so this one will hide and expand like the way you see here. Okay, so that is it. Alright, you can proceed now to this one, which has an input in it where I can expand it and hide it. Alright, so let's see how I can implement that. So I come to a column, so you put another build number 2. Okay, so let me go ahead and create that widget. Okay, now in this widget you're going to just return a card like the way we did in the previous one. Okay, so in this card we're going to give it child of what? Of column. So you can have our first column here that will be responsible for expanding and hiding. Can give it height and alignment on top here. So after giving it alignment, the next thing is now just going to put the content inside there. So this content is just going to be this top thing that you're seeing here. We can as well design it. So in here we're going to put now the toggle that will be toggling that second widget. It's just a simple method, as you can see it here. So I'll come here and add that toggle method. It will just check if the first thing is defined. If it is expanded, it expands. If it doesn't expand, it collapses it. So if I save, I should be able to do what? To expand and collapse the icon. Then we go ahead and put the what? Now the content that should be expanded and hidden. Okay, so that content is going to be next to this first item that we just displayed. Okay, next to this one, next to this input word in the input row. Then I'm going to put what? Size transition. Remember with the second widget, so I'm going to come here and put size transition. So in this size transition, I'm going to give it what? A second what? Size factor or controller. So it's the one that will be responsible for collapsing and hiding. So this, you see how we defined it, all that. Right. So after doing that, the next thing I'm just going to put now the column that is going to hold the content of what I want to display when someone clicks on expand. So this content can be any content of your own. Okay. So you see, it is nothing but a column that is having a what? An input, the decoration field. I mean an input field, a text field, something like that, and then it has an input decoration like that. Then here we have a row that is having a male. Of course, it's going to be a drop down of male and female. So we're going to pass here. We're going to create a variable of gender that is going to have male and female. But let me just leave this one. Just want to make it simple. Here is just nothing but what? The content that you want to display in there. And then here I show you, I give you a controller where you can also hide it. From what? From the within buttons. Okay, so this is nothing but the content that you want to be inside that. So we can be able to hide, we can be able to expand, and be able to collapse. So you can pause the video and make sure that you try them and make sure that they do what? They do work, and make sure that you understand them. So that's how we implement the collapse and what? And hide in a basic way. So I hope you've seen and I hope you've learned. So now let's go ahead and see how we can implement an invoice like this one. An invoice like this. Then if we implement this one, then it means that for you can also go ahead and implement the ticket, okay, something like that. All right, let's go ahead and implement the what? The invoice. Alright, so I'm just going to create a new screen that I'm called expand invoice screen that. let's say stateful widget. Remove this one. There we go. So let's go ahead and add this onto our main home screen. So someone should be able to click there. Okay. Come to menu route. Duplicate this. Put it there. And then put here expand invoice. Okay. Now when someone clicks here, they should be taken to expand invoice. So I click expand invoice, they are taken to there. Okay. However, we can create a separate section. We forgot to create a separate section for dialogues. So this is for dialogues, and this is for expand. All right. So we're going to design an invoice like this one, where someone can be able to expand their orders, can be able to collapse and see, just like the way you see it here. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so let's go to the screen. Expand invoice screen, and let's go ahead and start designing the invoice screen. Expand invoice. Go here, expand invoice screen route, and then we're going to do what? We're going to we're going to begin by creating this screen. Okay, so you see there's a lot of controllers in there, but no problem, we're going to create it. We're going to do what it takes to come up with something beautiful like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin with adding the scaffold. So our scaffold is going to have the background color of white. There we go. Then it's going to have a single scroll view as the body. Okay. Alright, so after doing that, again, now to give this single scroll view a column as its child, and then I'm going to give it children, and then those children, it's all going to give the up bar. So I'm going to copy the up bar and then explain it. So this up bar is going to be scrollable. Okay, so it's going to be an up bar that's going to have an elevation of 0, and then it's going to have this color. Okay, the brightness of light, and then the color of teal, and then the background color of teal, and then the leading icon, which is going to be an icon button where someone can click and then we pop up. Okay, this one here. Then at the end, we're going to put up the pop-up menu, and then this pop-up menu, we're going to put what? We're going to put settings and maybe display settings. All right, so that's what we're going to have. So if I do like this and I save, we'll still have something beautiful like this, where someone can even click there and get the settings. Okay, so after doing that, I hope you've seen how I've done it, but it's scrollable. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to create a container that's going to contain this top content that you're seeing here. So let's just design that top content together. So after putting the above, we're going to put a container and then give it children. Okay, we're going to give it alignment of center and width of infinity, and give that color of teal, something like this. Okay, I have that one. Okay, so I hope you can also do something like that. All right, after doing that, so the next thing we're going to put now the the child of column, which is going to contain this content. So child and put column, and then you are going to have children. So in those children, so you're going to pass this first total and then the second total and give them color of white. So I'll come and import my text styling here and here, so you can have a white color there. Okay, so when you save, we have something beautiful like this one. Okay, we have something nice like that. So we have to make it alignment always be at start, cross align start. Okay, you see it is simple and straightforward. Then after putting the total, then you can put maybe the height. After putting the height, and then the next thing we're going to do, we're going now to put the row that is going to have these two, the invoice number and then the word purchase in bottom of it, which is going to be a column, and then it has a spacer, and then at the further end it is going to have a what? This feature icon, feature button, this one here. Okay, so you have something like this. So you can pause the video and look at just this row. It is straightforward. Okay, so I hope you can understand this. I hope you can see how I've just achieved that with a spacer that separates this between. Okay, then after doing that, now we're going to put now the content that is going to follow here. It's going to be outside this green color, the teal color. So I'm just going to copy that and then I explain that box. So I'm going to come here outside this teal color here. You collapse that teal color and then put this kind of design. So it is having the invoice date, as you can see it there. So it is just a row that has a calendar icon in beginning and then followed by a column here that is having the invoice date in that font, and then the date itself in that font that you're seeing there. So after doing that, now we're going to see how we put a divider and then start working with the logic of expanding and collapsing. So shall go ahead and put here the divider. Okay, so the divider is there, but it's not very clear. This device has an issue with divisors. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, we're now going to put what? The container that is going to have the content for expanding and collapsing. Okay, so I'm going to copy it and explain it. So it's going to be items. This one is in a row. By saying that items, they're in a row. So I'll come here and put items like this. So they're in a row. Okay, so we're going to have at the end here at the end, we're going to have our what? our animation, just like the way we did the other time. That's going to be rotating between 90, that's going to be rotating in minus 180 degrees and also 180. Okay, this one between 0 and 180. Okay, so we're going to create the first animation controller. Let's go ahead and create it. This one here, I'm going to create these variables, all of them, and then I'll explain one by one, so we shouldn't repeat ourselves. So let me come here on top and create all these variables here. Okay, we make sure it is expanding ticker. So make sure that it's having with the ticker provider at the end here. Okay, then after, we're going to create the init state and initialize these icons. Okay, these variables that we just created. So you can pause the video and look at those variables. Each of it has a meaning. They're just controllers. So let's go ahead and create the init state. So just simply come here and say init state. So when the screen starts, this variable should be defined as follows. Okay. As follows. Okay. So having a main controller, it's having an animation controller, and then say vsync, this duration is equal to that. You just go ahead and define these ones, as you can see those on the screen. Of course, because most of them I've just explained them right now, so they shouldn't confuse right now. So now I hope you can pause the screen and see. So there are many, because we're going to use them in what? In many views for expanding and collapsing. So here we go ahead and import math. Okay, so after importing math, so the next thing is now to define this toggle that will be collapsing the items information. So create as a method. Okay, this method is just going to be here, checking if the first thing is expanded, it should expand. If it doesn't expand, it should do what? It should reverse it. Okay, so I understand. So I'll restart my screen. You can see that. So I should be able to at least switch in one way or the other. So now here, after columns, after container, we're going to put the what? The items themselves. Okay, and the items are going to be like these ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and define those items. So the items are going to be surrounded with the what? With the size transition, this one here. And the size transition is going to take the first animation that we will be controlling when you call this toggle. Okay, then the item, let me copy this one and then explain it. So I'll pause the video and do it. So it's going to be here next to it, and then we have here the row. Okay, this is just a row, so I'm just defining this one. So it is a row that is going to have the first icon, and then it's going to have column that's going to have this expand and collapse. So the first row is this first one, which is having the web design, and then having expanded, and then the value there. Hope you can see that. So that's the first row. This is the second row. So once you design one row, you can go ahead and design the rest. Okay, that are having the items. Okay, but the main point here, items are surrounded with the what? With the size transition, the one that can be controlled to expand and collapse. Hope you can see that. Okay, so you try it out and make sure that you're able to achieve something like this. So you save, and then you'll be able to do what? To expand and collapse, expand and collapse. I hope you can see that. Okay, so our time is up for the next session. So I give you a challenge to go ahead and finish this description. So this description is the same exactly, but for it is just lorem ipsum or plain text. So go ahead and challenge yourself and do the one for description. Go ahead and challenge yourself and do the one for what? For the address, since I've already finished for you this one. So when you challenge yourself, it is when you really know that you're getting the concepts, or you're not getting concepts, you need to watch again. So challenge yourself and do this. Okay, so you should have a complete thing that you can collapse like this, that you can preview like this. All right, so that's it for this session. Let's have another short break of 5 minutes. So 4:15, we should be coming back for the very last session for today. And in that session, it's where we're going to look at how we can design the grids like these ones. Okay, so this flight ticket, you can look at its UI and challenge yourself if you can do something like this, which has also an expand and hide. Okay, so go ahead and challenge yourself and see if you can do something like this one. Okay, so that's what you're going to do as a challenge to you. All right, so let's go and have a break, and then after 7 minutes we come back for the very last session of today. See you after 7 minutes.